G'day, Stephe Page from Page Proven Family Fertility Lawyers, and I'm talking to you today about the Assisted Reproductive Technology Act in the ACT. And I've covered similar videos, and they are the ability of parents to know their donors, and so there's been a change in the ACT about that, or about to be, and another video about 8 systems of IVF regulation in Australia. I started out the video by saying 7, then I realised, whoops, I'd got the maths wrong, it was actually 8. And posthumous reproduction changes, and another one about if the cap fits, and finally about the ACT surrogacy bill. But this one is not about any of those, it's about the ACT Assisted Reproductive Technology Act. This Act was enacted by the ACT Parliament in March, and some parts of this Act are in place, and other parts of this Act, particularly Part 5, which concerns donation, commence sometime between now and March 2025. And I just want to focus on 3 aspects of this Act which are significant. The first is that the ACT has brought in a requirement for ACT IVF clinics to be registered. So currently there are three IVF clinics in the ACT. There's one run by IVF Australia or Virtus Health, there's one run by Genoa Fertility, and then there's another one which is independent, Compass Fertility. So there's only 3 clinics currently in the ACT, because the ACT's got 400,000 people. But they will need to get registration from ACT authorities, as well as have a licence from the Fertility Society of Australia and New Zealand. So every IVF clinic in Australia must have a licence from the Fertility Society of Australia and New Zealand, and this will be an added component. And the ACT in doing this is copying what New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia and Western Australia have already done, and Queensland is about to do. And the other change that I think is significant is that there will be an ACT donor registry. And this is a welcome change in that if you're a donor conceived adult, you know that you can find out your records if you've been born after 2004 by going to your local IVF clinic. The problem about that is you may not know which IVF clinic you've gone to. And the ACT is pretty low risk in that there are only 3 clinics. But you can see that if you go to a state that has a larger number of clinics, for example, Victoria, New South Wales or Queensland, you could keep looking and looking. And if your parents happen to move around, then that's also a problem. But at least there will be one donor registry in the ACT covering all births in the ACT, or all treatment that's resulted in births through IVF clinics in the ACT. So that's definitely a step forward. What hasn't happened yet is we don't have a national donor registry. It's something that I'm very passionate about, making sure there is a national, or at least a nationally linked donor registry. I've been on the record about that for a couple of years. I'm glad that the Fertility Society of Australia and New Zealand, which I'm a director, has called for a national registry, but we're not there yet. With the start of this registry, there will be a donor registry in New South Wales, another in Victoria, ACT, South Australia and Western Australia, and soon there'll be one also in Queensland. The other big change in the ACT is that there will be retrospective transparency on donations back to the beginning of time. Now, way back when, there may not have been good records, and certainly we've seen that discussed in Queensland. But Victoria was the first to do this. South Australia said at first, no, we're not going to copy that, and setting up their donor registry. They changed their mind earlier this year and have now said they're doing it. The ACT will be the 3rd to do so, and Queensland will be the 4th. Although it must be said, the South Australian law hasn't started yet, the ACT law hasn't started yet, and I'm not sure when the Queensland law will start, but they'll all start about the same time. And each of those will mean that if you're donor conceived through an IVF clinic or an IVF doctor or artificial insemination, since it really got underway, at least in terms of Queensland, since the 70s, you'll be able to find out, or at least have a good shot at trying to find out where you've come from. So I think these are a big step forward and very positive. Thank you, Stephe Page, Page Proven Family and Fertility Lawyers.